Hello, my name is Tansini, normal Matric A1980949. Today I will go to present about the background of Singapore. The Singapore's economy is multiracial. It is primarily a developing world with a thriving private sector. The government will provide financial and administrative support to ensure that the country's internal and external economic growth is stable. Singapore also is one of the world's wealthiest countries with a low unemployment rate and a business-friendly regulatory climate. Singapore's economy is dominated by service, but it also produces electronics and chemicals and operates one of the world's largest ports. Integrated circuits, refined petroleum and computer are also major exports. Electronic, plastics, oil refining and rubber are among Singapore's established industries.
Economic activity that Singapore rely on which contribute to their economic growth is manufacturing sector, which include electronic, chemical, biomedical science, logistics and transport engineering. Electronic is a major industry underpinning Singapore's economic growth. It contributes 25% of the total manufacturing value added. Of 60 billion in fixed asset investment in 2012, electronics accounted for almost 38.8% of the total investment. Employment for the industry stands at 80,000, which is 19% of the total manufacturing jobs. In addition, the manufacturing of finished electronic products create many spin-offs to other segments of the economy, such as precision component manufacturers, chemicals and material suppliers, electronic manufacturing system companies, and logistics service provider. For the transport and engineering, Singapore has experienced unprecedented development in its transportation landscape. What was once a small colonial settlement with few public transport options has spawned into a first-world transport system with extensive railway lines, comprehensive bus service to complement the railways, and an intricate web of public roads. This was possible given the government's huge emphasis on having an efficient transport system as a facilitator of economic growth and development.
Hi madam, I am FONG. My Matric number is A19A0263. Now I will present the impact of COVID-19 to the economic growth in country Singapore. The first impact is global and domestic travel restriction to curb the spread of the COVID-19 have led to a sharp decrease in tourists to Singapore. The second is the significant impact of consumer-oriented sectors such as food service, retail trade, and land transportation. The third impact is the decline in external demands, and the interruption of the supply chains has adversely affected the export-oriented industries such as manufacturing, wholesale trade, and transportation and warehousing. The fourth is domestic-oriented industries such as construction, real estate, and other business services have suffered negative spillover effect due to the slowdown in domestic economic activities and weak market statement. The last is the closure of most workplaces during the circuit breaker periods affect companies in most sectors. That's all for me. Thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti MUSTARIZAH binti JUWANAN and my Matric number AY98083. Okay, especially today I want to present about the impact COVID to the environment to the Singapore. Okay, especially give the effect the desolation to the domestic labor market of the environment, and especially in the sector. And overall, we look the job loss, the rest very highest in sector travel sector 20%, and environment in the air transport we look for the 8.3%. Okay, this is because restriction of the international movement. Okay, the next effect can give the recession of economic activity in level intensive sector in the near future. Okay, especially many the relationship sector and the construction sector stop do the any activity, the job, and many the part-time worker lose the job because many the percent part-time workers work in the sector affected the COVID-19, and the effect to the employment we will continue to raise. Okay, because why? Because continue to increase 4.3% in the years 2020, increase from the July to August. The next effect we can look from the reduction the household, the consumption expenditure in immediate and significant the level market. Okay, especially the total 7.3% total consumption expenditure decrease in the February 2020, and in the April continue to decline by 20.8% for the level market revenue. And for next point, we look from the effect for the environment from the reduction of the consumption for the amount household with the great the new work, and the way the decline the to level market amount the lower the next work. Okay, especially we look for the individual have the lower will the decrease labor income 9.9%, and for the worst household decrease consumption in standard 20%, and for the people the rich the higher 30% through the employers in income. And the last the effect we can look from the decline consumption the expenditure. Okay, especially we look for the individual. Okay, individual decrease the household the income, and we refer to increase to the in the hours waste. The way we look from the decrease in the market due to the decline to the labor demand from the decrease in the labor supply.
Good day everyone, my name is Ng Chun Shong. I'm going to discuss the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the inflation rate. What is inflation rate? The inflation rate is the showing of the value of a currency will be fall, which means the overall price level of goods and service will be rising. There are three categories of inflation, which are the demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and also the built-in inflation. The inflation decides that the consumer price index, which is CPI, and also the wholesale price index, which is WPI. For our discussion today, we are going to focus the inflation rate in the Singapore. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Singapore CPI inflation rates rose from 1.3% in March to 2.1% year-on-year in April, which was higher than our expectation of 1.9% for the month. These inflation rates rising due to the low base effects, which is responsible for the increase in inflation on March. The Monetary Authority of Singapore (MAS) said before, the inflation rates for overall of all projects fell from 0 in March to negative 0.7% in April, and due to this situation, the inflation rate will be rising in the future. That's all for me today. Thank you.
My name is Dominic and my Matric number is A19A0118. Now I would like to share about the impact of COVID-19 to the economic activities. COVID-19 brings a huge economic impact on Singapore. In light of this, the Singapore economy is likely to experience both demand and supply side shocks. On the demand side, the global recession will result in a significant decline in external demand for Singapore's goods and services. On the supply side, the global economic slowdown has disrupted global supply chains, which has impacted some corporate operations in Singapore. Outward-oriented industries such as manufacturing and wholesale commerce have been hit by a drop in external demand and supply chain disruption, while domestically oriented sectors such as construction and real estate have been hit by a negative spillover from domestic economy. In Singapore, the largest industry is the manufacturing sector, which contributes 20% to 25% of country's annual GDP. Since the COVID-19 outbreak began earlier this year, the associated public health measures to limit the outbreak, such as lockdowns and borders closures, have caused several economic disruptions around the world. The pandemic of COVID-19 has highlighted the sector's importance to Singapore. However, with the surge in demand for online commerce and services, there are some bright spots in the economy.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Harith bin AZMI. My Matric number is A19A0347. Now I want to talk about economic policy implementation by Singapore, which is divided by fiscal policy and monetary policy. During pandemic COVID-19, the Singapore government has implemented expansionary fiscal policy during the situation economy. The policy is implemented to get the economy out of a slump. The government implement the policy by reducing tax and increasing government expenditure. Singapore government has announced a second stimulus package as the resilience budget, word generous budget, on 26 March 2020 to support households, help workers to stay employed, and provide support for businesses to emerge stronger when economic recover. This budget also introduced measures to help specific sectors that are directly impacted by the COVID-19 outbreaks, such as the aviation, tourism, food service, land transport, and art, culture, and sector. For the monetary policy, Singapore Central Bank has announced a new monetary policy unchanged on Wednesday, 14 April 2020, as widely expected. In its half-yearly monetary policy statement, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, said it is maintaining a 0% per annum rate of appreciation. The width of the policy band of the level at which it is centered also remained unchanged. All 15 economists polled by Reuters had predicted that the central bank would keep its exchange rate based.
For the conclusion, as the COVID-19 battle line continues to stretch, Singapore's economy has been severely harmed. To help people and businesses through the crisis, the government of Singapore has played a very important role in maintaining the country's economy. The government should embark on programs to transform the economy and workforce, strengthen social structure, and build a sustainable future so that Singapore can emerge stronger from the outbreak. For example, Government Singapore decided to spend capital in the next 3 years to help workers and companies understand new growth opportunities. Second, capital is used to help businesses transform and scale. Lastly, provide people with resources, revenge jobs, and help them grow their skill, creativity, and talents. Through transformation, the countries may have the opportunities to make new development and create a new outlet for economic development. All this need the national government and various departments to respond positively, but also need time and energy to implement step by step to achieve. That's all from me. Thank you.